Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is virtual class of Pakistan International School Taif. I am Muhammad Yasin. This English class is for the students of grade 8. We are doing chapter 4 of guided book 2. This is our 10th video in this class. These are the objectives of this lesson. After today's lesson, we shall be able to write a letter. In this lesson, we shall learn about the passage given in this lesson. In this lesson, we shall try to learn the meaning of new words and their correct pronunciation. First of all, let us try to learn the rules of a letter. These rules are for a general letter. These are not for today's letter only. Write your full name, address, even if it is informal letter. At the top we write our name and address. Divide your letter in small paragraphs. Yes. Keep your writing simple. Yes, it is always true. When it is simple, the other one can understand it very well. Make a good choice of words, especially if you are writing an apology letter or a letter to express your condolences in case of death. Most people close the letter with phrases like yours affectionately, with love, all the best, take care. Yes, usually these phrases are used to close a letter. Dear students, these are the main things we have to care about while writing a letter. Today you are set to write a letter to your mother who is very worried about your health. In this letter you will tell your mother that it was a temporary ailment. You are quite well now, you are doing your exercise, taking good food. In this letter, you can write some other things also, whatever you like. The letter of all the students should be same. It is not necessary. Everyone can write his own letter. Everyone will write to his own mother. I shall give you a sample letter will be here that I am going to show you. You can prepare it, you can add in it, you can leave whatever you want from this letter. Let us see this sample of the letter. By following the rules that we studied just now, at the top we have written examination hall because we are not allowed to write our name, the name of the place, city ABC. We shall write, date is written. Here is dear mother. Let us read the lesson, let us read the letter. I received your letter yesterday. I am glad to know that you are fine. I was running odd temperature due to bad throat. It was a temporary ailment. I have completely recovered now. You need not worry about my health. I am perfectly all right. I am taking good care of my diet and exercise regularly. I hope that after these assurances, you will stop worrying about me. Pay my regards to all at home. Yours affectionately, XYZ. Dear students, you can see we have followed all the rules of the letter. At the top we have written our address, that is examination hall, city ABC, date is there, we have addressed our mother. Then we have divided the letter into 2 paragraphs. The letter is closed by saying yours affectionately. We have followed all the rules. Dear students, you can add a 3rd paragraph if you want to write more to your mother. This is just like a sample. You can leave whatever you want, you can add whatever you want. But it should look like this, just like a letter. Yes, dear students, I think you have got the idea of the letter. You try to write a letter to your mother by yourself. Now we shall move to our lesson. Dear students, before starting the reading of our lesson, these are some of the words I have noted. Some of you may not be familiar with these words. Dear students, steep. Steep means rise or fall quickly. Queue means a line or sequence of people. Steep is shown here in the picture also. Queue is shown in this picture. Horde means a large crowd of people. Toil means physical hard work for a long time. Dreadful means very bad or unpleasant. It is called swear also. Let us move to the next page. Dear students, I have noted here some more words by thinking that some of you may not be familiar with these words. Dear students, despise means dislike or have no respect for somebody or something. Dear students, longed means having very strong desire to want something very much. To want something very much. Barrack house, barrack is the place for the army to live. Voyage means journey, especially long journey by sea. Vermin means the insects which live on other animals. Splint means long piece of wood or metal that is used to tie broken bones. These words were noted here, their meaning are written here. Dear students, after having understanding of these words, we are able to understand the passage given in our today's lesson. Let us move to the lesson. Dear students, this is the first page of our lesson. I have divided it into parts to increase the visibility, to read it easily. Let us start reading. People who have been ill in hospital are always full of praise for the nurses there. Dressed in their clean white uniforms, they move from bed to bed, carrying out the orders of the doctor and attending to the needs of the sick. They are always hardworking, calm, cheerful and friendly, doing what they can to make the sick people comfortable and to ease their pain. But hospitals were not always like this. When Florence Nightingale was a young woman, hospitals were dirty and crowded. Crowded means when there are so many people at a place, we call it crowded. The nurses were women of bad character who were often drunk, although Florence Nightingale came from a wealthy family. Dear students, we are going to read about a woman. Her name is Florence Nightingale. We are told here that belonged to a wealthy family and had no need to work. She longed. You can see here the word longed, meaning of which we were reading on our previous slide. Longed means she had a strong desire to do something useful with her life. She became interested in hospitals and went to take charge of one. Then came her big chance. Dear students, let us move to the next paragraph. This is also about the Florence Nightingale. War had broken out between England and Russia, and a British army was fighting in the Crimea on the Black Sea. Dear students, Crimea is the name of a place on the Black Sea. The wounded soldiers suffered dreadfully, for there were not enough doctors, nurses and supplies. Supplies means food and drugs. Florence Nightingale was asked to take out a band of ladies to care for the wounded. She agreed eagerly, for this was her big chance. She thought that if nurses could be of service at a time like that, never again would nurses and nursing be despised. Yes, students, could you understand? She thought if nurses served at this time, they will be liked. They will not be disliked. She was right, and thanks to her efforts there and later in England, nursing is what it is today. Dear students, it is thought that nursing that we find today is due to Florence Nightingale, due to her work hard, on the basis of which she was able to convince the people that nurses can help the patients. but she had great difficulties to overcome when she and her nurses arrived in the Crimea, as we see in this passage taken from Six Reformers by John Walton. This is the book from where this story is taken. Let us move forward. Dear students, this is the main story of this lesson. The name of this story is The Lady of the Lamp. I think you have got the idea that the Lady of the Lamp is Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale is a woman from a rich family. No need was there to work, but she liked to work for the people, and later she was called the Lady of the Lamp. Let us read the lesson and try to find out why she was called the Lady of the Lamp. And even today, people remember her, people call her the Lady of the Lamp. She lives in the minds of the people, in the hearts of the people even today, by the name the Lady of the Lamp. Let us read the first paragraph. It was November 1854 when Florence Nightingale arrived at Scutari. This is the name of place where the army hospitals were situated. A terrible state of affairs met her. Hundreds of wounded men were being brought in from the battle of Elma and Balaclava. These are the places where battle was going on. Next day came the battle of Inkerman. The wounded came in batches of 200 across the Black Sea. Batches means groups. A fearful voyage for the sick men who had no beds and often no blankets and only salt rations to eat. Many died on the voyage, which, though it normally took only about 4 days, now took as much as fortnight. Fortnight means 2 weeks. Dear students, the voyage, which usually was taking 4 days, in these days was taking 2 weeks. At the end of the voyage, the wounded men had to find their own way to steep hill to the hospital. Hospital was at the top of the hill, and the patients were to climb the hill to reach the hospital. There were very few stretchers, and those who were not so ill had to carry those who could not walk. Yes, students, the patients who were able to walk had to carry the other ones who were not able to walk. Let us move to the next paragraph. After such a miserable journey, their worst troubles were yet to come. The hospital was a very old and huge barrack house. That house was made in a barrack house. Barrack house was being used as a hospital. That was not the proper building of the hospital. It was not fitted as a hospital and had only been chosen hurriedly at the last moment for lack of anything better. It was chosen because it was better than nothing. Inside there were 4 miles of corridors and rooms packed so closely with beds that there was scarcely space to walk between them. Beneath were great sewers which fouled the air of the whole building, whilst many of the floors were so old and worm-eaten, worms are insects, that they could not be scrubbed. Everywhere was dirt and vermin and disease. Vermin means insects which live on other animals' body. Dear students, you may find some more words with which you may not be familiar. You will find out in the dictionary. Dear students, this was paragraph number 2. Let us move to the next paragraph. Vast as this makeshift hospital. Makeshift hospital means temporary hospital. It was all too small for the endless queue of the sick and wounded who needed nursing. Beds were too few, and the sheets were of canvas, and so coarse, so rough they were, that the men preferred their own blankets and coats. There was no furniture, baths, or soap, nor were there towels, brooms, spoons, plates, and forks, not even any lighting. No light was there, so that the men had to stick candles in bottles. Medical supplies such as stretchers, drugs, bandages, and splints were simply not to be had. Nothing was available over there. Splints means piece of metallic rod or wood that is used to tie a broken bone to support it. To look after the hordes of sick men. Hordes means group of people. There were a few old men who knew nothing about hospitals, and a few young doctors who were helpless before such scenes of suffering and misery. Yes, students, I think you have got the basic idea, the background, the main context of this lesson. This lesson about Florence Nightingale. She is a woman. She is from a wealthy family. She liked to work for the people. She wanted to work for the people. And this is her story, how she worked hard in a place, in a makeshift hospital that was temporary, and it was not proper for the patients. But let us read what is written. Then came Florence Nightingale. With her came a supply of all the things that were needed. On leaving in England, she had been told that nothing was needed. Nothing was needed. At Scutari, this is a proper noun. If you could not pronounce it correctly, no problem. You try to pronounce it like Scutari. But she was wiser, and on the way to Constantinople, she obtained a large supply of provisions and drugs. These she bought with the large sum of money given to her by many friends to help her in the Crimea. Yes, students, in paragraph 5, what is written? But she brought with her something far more valuable than money or stores. She brought determination, yes, which was better than any other wealth. The bravest might have been overcome by the scenes in the hospital at Scutari. Florence Nightingale set herself to work. Soon she had not only herself and her staff of 38 nurses hard at work, but also the few doctors and many of the men who were not too ill. The old soldiers at first growled at the idea that a woman could be of any use, but they soon changed their views when they saw Florence Nightingale at work. Yes, students. Let us move to the next paragraph, that is paragraph 6. What is mentioned here? Day and night she toiled. Toiled means worked very hard, day and night, continuously, at Scutari. Soon the dirty wards were clean and orderly. All necessary equipment was secured for the sick men. Before she came, stores from England had been held up by the Turkish customs, and on one occasion, scores of sick, scores means, score is equal to 20. Scores of sick and wounded men lay cold and shivering for lack of clothes that had been sent to them. Only Florence Nightingale could get what was needed when it was needed. 6 months after she arrived, she had obtained for the men all the stores held up at Constantinople. and had arranged a storehouse at Scutari itself, so the men had the socks, boots, shirts, and bedding they needed. I am now clothing the British Army, she said, and she said it truly. Yes, she was clothing the British Army. Dear students, let us move to the next paragraph. Yes, before Florence Nightingale came, only 7 shirts had been washed in the whole building, and the bedding was washed in cold water. At once she took a Turkish house had boilers built. In this house, boilers were built in, and set the soldiers' wives washing the clothes and bedding. Next, she fitted out the kitchens, and in future the sick men had regular meals of good, well-cooked food. In a few months, Florence Nightingale had changed the barracks at Scutari from a place of misery and disease to something like a hospital. Yes, students, after some time, after her hard work, after her cleaning, after her arrangement, that place started looking like a good hospital. Yes, students, next is paragraph 8, and this is the last paragraph of this lesson. Let us read this one also and try to find out what is here. No wonder the soldiers worshipped her. They knew that many of them owed to her not only their comfort but their lives. Often, when the surgeons had given up hope of saving a man's life, Florence Nightingale's calm confidence and her tireless courage saved him. Day and night she visited every bed in the hospital to see that no patient was neglected and that all were as comfortable as possible. Yes, however hard she had worked all day, every night she would take her lamp and once more move from bed to bed in those miles of wards. Yes, students, it was her habit. Before going to sleep every day, she used to take a lamp in her hand and visited everyone in each ward. Could you understand now why is she called the Lady of the Lamp? Even today also, the lady with the lamp, the soldiers called her. Nobody called her by her real name. Everyone called her by the lady with the lamp. And the lady with the lamp is the name by which the world has remembered her ever since. Ever since. Dear students, after passing long time, even today, people know her by the same name. She lives in the hearts of the people even today. She worked a lot. She worked very hard. In fact, she introduced the profession of nursing. Could you see in the lesson it is written, when soldiers came to know that there will be a woman to assist them, they growled. They did not like in the beginning because this was the first time when nursing was introduced. Before that, they did not know about the nurses. That was the first time, that was the beginning. That is why Florence Nightingale worked hard to convince the people, to show the people that a nurse in the hospital can do a lot to ease the people, to provide comfort to the sick people. And it is due to her, the profession of nursing is today that we find in the form today. It is due to her hard work. Dear students, this was paragraph 8. This was the last paragraph. We have read our whole lesson. In your homework, you will read the whole passage once again. It will help you to remember main points of the lesson which we need to do our exercises. After reading the passage, you will learn and write the letter to your mother that we did in the beginning of the lesson. Dear students, one more thing is there. We have written some new words in the beginning of the lesson. If you have time, if you could learn, it is important to learn. But if you have time, try to write them also. That can be very useful for you. Dear students, that is all from our today's lesson. In our today's lesson, we learned to write a letter to our mother, and we read the lesson about Florence Nightingale, in which we learned how she worked hard to introduce the profession of nursing. Dear students, that is all from our today's lesson. See you later in another video, in another lesson. Goodbye.